These days, it feels like Caitlin Clark is the headline, not the WNBA itself. She's everywhere, stealing the spotlight, dominating conversations, and leaving fans wanting more. From analysts singing her praises to players like Lexi Hull openly admiring her, Clark has become both an icon and an inspiration. But here's the burning question. Is Caitlin Clark overrated or overhated? Let's break it down. It's a rare occurrence in the world of sports for an athlete to make such an unforgettable mark that they transcend their sport entirely. These athletes possess a unique combination of skill, charisma, and cultural relevance that draws in not just die-hard fans, but also casual observers who otherwise wouldn't follow the sport. When these athletes come along, they bring something special, a ripple effect that elevates the game itself. Take cycling, for instance. Even if you've never followed the sport, the name Lance Armstrong likely rings a bell. His dominance and story made him a household name. Or consider Usain Bolt, his unprecedented speed, paired with a name that practically screams fastest man alive, brought track and field into the mainstream spotlight. In golf, even those unfamiliar with the sport can immediately recognize the name Tiger Woods, whose influence extended far beyond the green. These athletes don't just play the game, they change it. And right now, in women's basketball, there's a rising star who might just be the next in line to join this exclusive club of transformative athletes, Caitlin Clark. Since her arrival in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark has captured the attention of fans, critics, and the media alike. She has become the face of women's basketball, drawing record-breaking viewership and bringing more revenue and spectators to the league than ever before. Her ascent hasn't come without criticism. Some argue that the media is overhyping her talent, giving her an unfair share of the spotlight in a league filled with extraordinary players. Is Caitlin Clark as dominant as the numbers suggest? Or is her talent being exaggerated to boost the WNBA's profile? What's undeniable is that Clark has elevated the sport, breathing new life into a league that has long struggled to gain mainstream attention. Clark's impact was already evident before she even stepped onto a WNBA court. On April 7th, during the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship, she led her team in a game that became a historic event. Nearly 90 million viewers tuned in, shattering all previous records for women's NCAA basketball. To put that into perspective, this game outperformed most men's tournament games and even NBA Finals matchups since 2018. It wasn't just basketball fans watching. Many tuned in specifically to see Caitlin Clark in action. Her incredible range, clutch performances, and record-breaking play made her must-watch television. Clark's transition to the WNBA didn't just meet expectations, it exceeded them. She had the most-watched WNBA debut in ESPN history. Attendance at her home games with the Indiana Fever skyrocketed from an average of 4,000 fans last season to over 17,000 this season, a staggering 400% increase. Merchandise sales for the Fever surged by over 700%, and overall WNBA viewership reached unprecedented levels. For context, last year's WNBA Finals Game 4 had the highest viewership in over 2 decades, with 728,000 fans tuning in. This season, highly anticipated games featuring Clark routinely attracted over 1 million viewers. By comparison, NBA games on ESPN averaged 1.56 million viewers this season, while WNBA games averaged 1.2 million, an unimaginable milestone just a few years ago. Clark's rookie season was nothing short of historic. She shattered numerous league and franchise records, including WNBA single-season assists, record most assists in a single game, highest All-Star votes in WNBA history, most points scored by a rookie, first rookie triple-double in WNBA history. Additionally, she joined an elite group by making first-team All-WNBA as a rookie, a feat last accomplished 16 years ago by Candace Parker. Statistically, Clark accounted for a staggering 45.2% of the Indiana Fever's total points, carrying an offensive load greater than any NBA player last season, except Luka Doncic. Beyond the raw numbers, Clark's style of play is what truly sets her apart. Her deep three-point shooting has drawn comparisons to NBA stars like Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, and Trae Young. But even among the game's elite shooters, Clark stands alone. During the 2024 regular season, Clark's average three-point shot distance was 28.1 feet, the furthest of any player in either the NBA or WNBA. For context, the WNBA three-point line is 22 feet, meaning Clark is consistently shooting from 6 feet beyond the arc. Clark's influence extends beyond her own performance. Her arrival has sparked renewed interest in women's basketball, with attendance and viewership climbing to levels not seen since the league's inception in 1997. This resurgence is particularly noteworthy, given the WNBA's history. The league has faced its share of challenges, including declining attendance and financial struggles. COVID-19 dealt a significant blow, with 2020 marking an all-time low in attendance due to pandemic restrictions. However, the Caitlin Clark effect has helped reverse that trend. The Indiana Fever, a team that previously struggled to fill seats, now regularly sells out home games. Fans who come to watch Clark often discover the immense talent of the league's other players, creating a ripple effect of increased interest in the sport. Of course, Clark's incredible rise hasn't been without its detractors and controversies. And now here the main question arises. Is Caitlin Clark overrated or overhated? Even league players repeatedly tried to bring Caitlin down simply because she was too good. Remember when? Shannon Sharpe, the outspoken ESPN analyst and former NFL star, didn't shy away from addressing the rough treatment Clark faced during the season. On his podcast Nightcap, he revealed a shocking stat. 17% of the league's flagrant fouls were committed against Clark, with the Chicago Sky responsible for 80% of them. Sharpe believed it wasn't a coincidence. In one of the season's most memorable matchups on August 30th, the Fever dominated the Sky 100-81, thanks to Clark's career-high 31 points, 12 assists, and 4 rebounds. Despite her brilliance, the game wasn't without drama. Clark endured another hard foul, this time from Diamond D. Shields, adding to a series of flagrant hits she had taken throughout the season. Sharpe argued this physical play was less about competition and more about sending a message, highlighting the league's failure to properly credit Clark for her impact. Clark's omission from the USA Olympic roster earlier in the year also created a firestorm. Critics pointed to her rookie mistakes, like leading the league in turnovers, as justification for the decision. However, supporters like Sharpe suggested jealousy and resistance to her rapid rise were the real reasons. Off the court, Clark found herself caught in political and cultural debates she never sought. Conservative figures, including former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, used her name to fuel discussions on race, favoritism, and marketability. Her presence reignited conversations around racial dynamics in sports, especially after her Iowa team's NCAA tournament showdown with LSU, a match steeped in symbolism due to the racial makeup of both squads. Clark largely stayed out of the fray, focusing on her game. When excluded from the Olympic team, she responded with grace, vowing to work harder for the 2028 roster. And when her name was weaponized in divisive debates, she firmly condemned it, saying, "People should not be using my name to push those narratives. It's disappointing and unacceptable." Though she tried to stay in her lane, Clark's rookie year elevated her into a cultural figure beyond basketball. Clark's impact on the WNBA is reminiscent of the NBA's transformation in the 1980s. During the late 1970s, the NBA was struggling with low attendance, poor ratings, and a lack of marketable stars. That all changed with the arrival of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, whose rivalry and charisma revitalized the league. While it's too early to compare Clark to legends like Bird and Magic, her ability to draw attention and elevate her league is undeniable. Will the Caitlin Clark effect have a lasting impact on the WNBA? Only time will tell. What's clear is that Clark has already achieved what many athletes never do. She's transcended her sport, bringing new fans and unprecedented attention to women's basketball. As the league continues to grow, one can't help but wonder, will Clark's popularity inspire the next generation of players? Can the WNBA sustain this momentum and further close the gap with the NBA? How will other players in the league respond to the increased competition for attention? Caitlin Clark has undoubtedly brought a seismic shift to the WNBA, a league that now finds itself in uncharted territory thanks to her dazzling performances, unmatched charisma, and ability to draw attention like never before. Whether you believe she's the chosen one or feel she might be receiving too much hype, her impact is undeniable. From dominating college basketball to being a phenomenon in her rookie season, Clark's journey is a story for the ages. So is Caitlin Clark overrated or overhated? The debate continues. One thing is clear. Her influence transcends the court, inspiring new generations and reshaping the landscape of women's basketball. As the league's brightest star, Caitlin Clark basketball is more than a game. It's a movement. Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning of how Caitlin Clark shocked the world and changed the WNBA forever.